Cam Heyward doesn't want to take a pay cut. Cam's due $22 million in 2024. But let's not get things confused here. Good morning to you. Good Friday morning. I'm Dejan Kovacevic of DK Pittsburgh Sports. This is Daily Shot of Steelers. It comes your way bright and early every weekday. If you're into hockey and or baseball, I also offer daily shots of Penguins and Pirates in the same place that you found this. OTAs begin Tuesday at the UPMC Rooney Sports Complex on the South Side. I'll be there covering that for DK Pittsburgh Sports. Cam will not be there. Cam acknowledged on his podcast yesterday that he hasn't been around the team for general off-season work and that he won't be at OTAs while underscoring, meaning he underscored, that these things are voluntary. All of them are. The first non-voluntary thing, if you will, and if you're new to the game, will be the mandatory mini camp that's next month. So, Cam's not doing anything wrong there. Cam has now stated multiple times that he's not going to take a pay cut. He'll be entering the fourth year of an extension that he signed in 2020, and that contract calls for him to be paid $22 million. So he's not doing anything wrong there either. Cam insists he's going to be able to play an additional 3 years. I find this at least a little bit surprising, and not just because he's currently 35, but also because, and some of you might recall this, in Buffalo, when he was fresh off the field, I asked him, "Are you contemplating retirement? Is this going to be it for you? Is there any chance of that?" And he hesitated. He gave me an answer that was anything but conclusive, and it wasn't until a couple of days later, and maybe he had a chance to let some of the pain from that lingering groin injury wear off, that he's, of course, had surgically repaired since then, and went into this mode instead. But, to continue the theme today, didn't do anything wrong. He's free to hem and haw about whether or not he'll continue playing and then say, "Heck yeah, I'm playing. I'll be around forever." He can do that. Not doing anything wrong. Similarly, from the Steelers' standpoint, if you go back and look at every comment that's been made by Omar Khan since the season ended, same day in Buffalo, you'll find nothing from the general manager that suggests even the tiniest trace of anything other than massive respect for the man and hoping to achieve an extension. The extension has been mentioned by Khan. The extension has been mentioned by Art Rooney. So there really isn't anything that you could look at on the team side and say that they're doing something wrong or that they're behaving in some weird kind of way. All right, we good with all that? Okay, that's just my way of setting all of this up and saying that there's no controversy. There's no holdout. There's no trying to shove Cam out the door, as maybe or maybe not the team has done over the years with players such as Troy Polamalu, James Harrison, Ben Roethlisberger, depending on who you talk to. There hasn't been any of that. But what does have to happen here is that intelligent, like-minded, and similarly passionate people have to find common ground here that's based on common sense. And this, I think, is where Omar is going to be able to figure this out in a way that none of the rest of us can. Meaning, how do you set up an extension that protects the team and protects its future salary cap obligations based on current performance? Because as you'll often hear from team management types across sports, when they're signing someone late in their careers, and those were, past tense, great careers, we're not here to pay you for past performance. We're not here to pay you on what you've done already. We're looking to get a fair deal done for what we're about to receive. Now, what is that with Cam? It's kind of hard to say after the season he just went through, isn't it? With immense respect on my part for who he is as a football player, and note the present tense there, who he is. He was playing through one heck of an injury, and you can give him all the accolades in the world for that, and I have. But I'm sure he'd agree with me that it makes for a very challenging read. How much of what you see on film is influenced by that? Probably a ton. But how much might it affect him moving forward? Everyone will say, every surgery is a success. We don't know that. Everyone will say that as you get a little bit older, those soft tissue injuries become more common and they take longer to heal up. I think he can still be a solid run stopper. He showed that even while hurt. The Steelers were getting gashed there for a while. Cam comes back, and then they weren't getting gashed. That's not an accident. We know what kind of upper body strength he has. He's a monster. He'll still be able to throw people to the ground and get where he wants to go. But what about the rest? What about the quickness? What about everything that goes into getting to the backfield? The best version of Cam is one that's wrecking people all over the place, but especially in the backfield. What's a fair price for Omar to put on that? What's a fair price for Cam to expect? The only thing I've got to contribute to this myself is that there absolutely has to be a joint understanding before anybody even sits down at the table that whatever you're going to get offered by the Steelers, Cam, is going to be, repeating this, not based on past performance, not based on past accomplishments, based on the years 2024, 2025, and 2026. If the Steelers would even go that long. And if they do go that long, they've got to have things built in that keep them from experiencing any future pain for anything that would go wrong in the interim. That's not mean, that's not cold, it's definitely not respectful. I'm in favor, theoretically, pending physicals, pending health, of the Steelers signing Cam to an extension. I'm also in favor of it being a fair one that reflects current value, not previous value. When we come back, J1Q. Luxembourg, Garbett, Kelly & George, LGKG, is a personal injury law firm in Western Pennsylvania that represents people hurt in car accidents or who need help with workers' comp or medical malpractice. When the attorneys at LGKG make you a promise, they keep it. They've been keeping promises in our region for over 80 years. LGKG's been AV rated, the highest rating a law firm can receive, and they've been designated super lawyers. That's actually a thing for over 15 years. It's a rare combination. LGKG has offices in Cranberry, Newcastle, Beaver Falls, Butler, and Elwood City. Learn more about them by visiting lgkg.com or by calling 888-842-5454. LGKG. Today's J1Q comes from Lyle, who says, DK, how does a league that is set up for safety with limited OTAs, padded practices, big bubble helmets, and all of that, establish a schedule that's got 2 games 4 days apart in the second half of a season? Lyle, of course, is referring to the Steelers twice playing the Ravens in the second half of the season, and on both occasions having another game 4 days later. The first of those games will be against the Browns. The second will be against the Chiefs on Christmas. As I was saying on the show yesterday, which was led by this subject, this is the one facet that really leaps out. I don't like it. I'm also not going to complain about it. As I further mentioned yesterday, I look at that schedule and I see a team that would benefit from a lighter schedule early on way more than it would be hurt by a tougher schedule later on. I see a team that's got 2 new quarterbacks, an almost entirely new offensive line with 2 rookies and 1 second-year guy likely starting, with a brand new offensive coordinator and a brand new playbook, and I'm not even touching on the other side of the football, which has changes of its own. The last thing I want, to look at this from a completely different perspective, is to open the season against the Baltimores and the Kansas Cities and so forth. Give me the freaking Falcons. And by the way, give me the Falcons in Atlanta, because the Steelers fans in that part of the world, and even specifically in Georgia, are going to pack the place. You know that. I know that. You know who else knows it? The NFL schedule maker. And while I'm at it, give me the Raiders, the Jets, and the Giants, the two New Jersey teams heading right into the bye week. I'll take all of that. Now, it's going to have to be a pretty nice record, but I like the chances of the Steelers having a pretty nice record against those opponents with their own circumstances at hand, meaning, again, that offense. And I like that way, way, way better than wondering how they would do after they started out like 2-6 or something. Do you follow me here now? Because as we've seen in recent years, yes, the Mike Tomlin teams can fall into a deep hole. And yes, they do come back and somehow magically end up with a winning record or a 500 record or whatever it is, and then they go and get slaughtered in the playoffs. The formula, the roadmap for this team absolutely must be that they get significantly stronger with each passing week. And as such, the only thing about this schedule that's going to end up mattering in the long run is how they handle those first few games and whether or not they can come out of those with enough wins. I appreciate the question. I appreciate everybody listening to Daily Shot of Steelers. We'll be back with another one of these on Monday.